You're listening to the Hustle Indie Show, where we seek out some of Indie's most hustling people and places to learn about what they do, how they got started, and where they're going. Sit back and enjoy the show.
We are back with another episode of the Hustle Indie Show. I'm your host, Brendan, joined by the wonderful Ian DeFelice. Ian is drinking Bova Conti coffee again for the 10th morning in a row. I think he's addicted.
Hey, I may be. I'm not gonna lie. We're recording a lot of episodes right now.
Yeah.
And I need a little booster juice, man.
Yeah, we are rocking and rolling with a bunch of episodes. I think we're recording 3 this week, which is, I think, a record for us. I don't think we've ever recorded more than 2 in a week. I could be wrong.
Back to back, man. Let's keep it going.
All right. Well, for this episode, we're just going to get right into it. We've got an awesome guest with us that does some amazing work for all of Indianapolis and some amazing partners that he's working with. We want to welcome Brian Tomlinson of Circle City Cryogenics. He is the head of sales and marketing for them. So, Brian, welcome to the Hustle Indie Show.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing this morning?
Good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Better than I deserve. So tell us a little bit about Circle City Cryogenics and what you guys do over there for the Indianapolis and for surrounding areas.
We freeze metal at 300 degrees below zero. It realigns all the atoms and molecules and makes metal stronger, more durable. It dramatically improves the wear life of it.
Wow. So how did you get started into Circle City Cryogenics? How did you get to learning more about this business and learning about cryogenics in general?
I worked at Praxair for 28 years, and when I left Praxair, I bought 30% of one of my customers. And unfortunately, within a year, I caught him stealing from us and got all my paperwork in line, walked in his office and said, "We're done or you're going to jail." And I went home and did a little Googling, a little praying, a little soul searching, and found Circle City Heat Treating at 2243 Massachusetts Avenue that said they did cryogenics. So I called there and said, I want to get a couple brake rotors and a pistol barrel done. What do you charge? And the girl said, we get these calls once in a while. We really don't do this. And I said, well, it says on your website you do. And I'm looking at a picture of your cryogenic processor. And she said, our what? They didn't even know what it was.
Wow.
And I asked to speak to the owner, Tom Dunn, and took him to lunch and told him what I wanted to do. And he was a little leery of it at first. He said, I don't want to get in the middle of any litigation or anything. He's a good, honest Christian guy. And I went to some of my customers and they wrote me letters saying they were following me wherever I landed. And the city of Indianapolis said, you're saving us $250,000 a year. Let us know where you land. And where we're at now is 6 minutes from downtown Indy. So God closed one door, he opened another one.
Wow.
So I've been doing for about 10 years, and it started out just doing race teams and the city of Indianapolis fire trucks, and now we're doing stuff all over the country. The little community I live in, we've saved our fire department $30,000 a year the last 9 years in a row.
Wow.
There's probably 80 to 100,000 family vehicles riding around on cryogenically frozen rotors. I don't sell anything, we just do a service. Everybody brings us their metal parts, plastic parts, we freeze them. If they're all metal, we temper them at a certain temperature for 2 hours and give it back to them. So there's no taxes involved or anything. It's just a service.
Wow. So kind of go into a little bit before we dive into like how you got into it. Can you explain a little bit more like what is the science behind that? Where does this come from and how does it work, I guess? And what is the benefit of it?
The benefit is it makes metal stronger. It'll make your gun shoot straighter. It tied a bullet pattern, makes the gun easier to clean, a lawnmower blade. Gotcha. Something as simple as the razor you and I shave our face or our wives shave their legs with, and razors are pricey. It'll make them last 6 to 10 times longer.
Wow.
Lawnmower blades stay sharp 8 times longer. And then when they do go dull, they take an edge easier, less metal comes off of the blade. So the life of the blade is going to last longer.
Wow.
And then when you put it on, it's going to stay sharp 6 to 8 times longer as well. Everything we cryogenically treat only has to be done one time. It goes through the entire volume of every part.
Wow.
It's really unique. My challenge is I walk into a place and they read my shirt, jacket, sweater, and they go, cryogenics. We don't deal with bodies. What do you want with us?
Right. And that's definitely a thought. I wouldn't have expected metal of all things. You know what I mean? That's not a thought that comes to my mind right away.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks I have Ted Williams and Walt Disney frozen.
So
I
when you
literally
got
have shirts, hats, and koozies. On the front, it says Circle City Cryogenics, and on the back, it says, "We don't freeze bodies."
yeah. So when you got started doing this, did you have any background in cryogenics, or was it totally new to you?
It was totally new to me. I just did my homework on it. And
Wow.
the customer that I started out as a route driver at Praxair, settling products, delivering oxygen settling tanks, big liquid nitrogen tanks, oxygen. And I moved my way up the ladder through the years, then became a territory manager. And through those years, I ruined both of my knees hustling around those big heavy tanks.
Wow.
And I had total knee replacement done on both knees at the same time in 09 to get it over and done with. The economy was going south. And 2 days after I came back to work and 13 days for my 29th anniversary, Praxair let me go.
Wow.
And I didn't see that coming. I was very lucky and blessed and had Honda, our new airport, Lucas Oil Stadium, the Nestle plant in Anderson. I was knocking it out of the park with all the contractors in the state of Indiana.
Yeah.
So I already had a good rapport, a good relationship with a lot of different contractors. So I went back to them when I started doing cryogenics and said, "Hey, I can make your welding tips last longer. You know, their brake rotors on all their vehicles." And from there, it's just grown to what it is today.
Yeah. Wow. So was the homework stage when you were trying to learn as much as you could about cryogenics, how long did that take and what did that process look like, learning a bunch about a subject that you didn't know much about before?
I was very lucky and blessed and got a hold of a gentleman named Bill Bryson, and he's like the godfather of cryogenics. And I called him, told him what I wanted to do. And he said, "You can't just hang a shingle up. Nobody knows what it is. You have to go out and knock on doors." And I said, "Well, sir, could I come up and spend some time with you up in Canada, up north, and I'll pay you for your time?" And he said, "No, Brian, if you're serious about doing this, I'm into God and helping people. If you come up here, I won't charge you a dime."
Wow.
Wow.
And I was blown away by it. And when I got with the two partners that I end up buying part of their business from, I told them about this guy, and they said, "We've heard of him. He's kind of famous. He won't take your call." Pulled my phone out and called him, and he answered the phone. "Hey, Brian, how you doing this morning?" And they both were kind of blown away by it.
Wow. So
I
you
learned
got
a lot from him. I bought his book, and I could still call him today, and he'll take my call and give me different advice, and I bounce different ideas off of him.
Wow.
I've been very lucky and blessed.
Yeah. So it sounds like you kind of got a nice little kickstart on the beginning end of it, getting that mentor, getting that education from someone who's so well known in the industry. What then did the beginning stages of starting off look like? You mentioned knocking on doors and meeting with people that you had developed relationships with. Was it kind of a slower process when you were developing those clients, or did it kind of just roller coaster off?
It was slow at first, but I would have to do them for free. I would say, "Give me something I've never done before, and I'll do the first one for free if you'll share the results with me." So I would take some of their plasma tips, laser tips, blades of any type, and do a couple of them for free to show them how well it worked. And I would put it in with the racing components, the brake rotors and drums from IFD, some of the other customers. So every time I do a run, I'd put free stuff in there and give it back to them, and they would see the results and go, "Oh, wow, this does work."
Wow.
Interesting. So if you don't mind me asking, at what point in your career, like what age range were you at when you transferred into cryogenics?
Probably 50, 52.
Okay. So what was that like? So a lot of the people that we have interviewed are typically like getting into got into their business in their 20s and 30s. We've had some that have transitioned a little bit later in life, but what was that life like? Because you said you just got, you lost your job. You're already at that stage in life. What was that transition like into something completely new, or really something that you weren't expecting at that point in your life and wasn't necessarily planned? Was that difficult to get through, like emotionally and mentally, or was that pretty easy for you?
No, it was pretty rough emotionally. Coming home that night to tell my wife and two young boys that I had lost my job that I thought I'd be retiring from was like being hit by a baseball bat. I felt like a failure to my kids that, hey, Dad lost his job. And, it took me a while to, plus I was still rehabbing my knees. So
how did you get through that? What really drove you to get through that time?
My wife. You're going to choke me up. I have an awesome wife, and our faith and just believing in what I could do and the salesman I could be, and believing in that I could teach people what the cryogenic process would actually do if they gave it a chance.
That's awesome.
Because I mean, there's almost nothing this won't work on, between weed eater line to the everyday razor blade. It's unbelievable all the different things this works on. Just people don't know what it is. They think I freeze bodies.
Right.
So all of the equipment involved with cryogenics, I imagine there's quite a bit. Can you fill us in on a little bit of like the equipment that's involved, the process of freezing it? What does that look like when you get a product in, and then the process from when you get it to when you give it back to the customer?
When we get it, it looks just like, a brake rotor, a gun barrel, any blade of any type, transmissions, gears, shafts, engine blocks. We've got two different processors. The small one looks like the freezer your mom and dad or grandma and grandpa had in the garage or in the basement. Little handle in the middle. It's 15 inches by 46 inches by 15 inches. And there's pictures on the Circle City Cryogenics Facebook page and a ton of videos to where I fill it up. The more I can get in there, the cheaper I can keep our pricing.
Yeah.
And I'll fill it up once I hit the go button. We use liquid nitrogen. And of course, I got it from Praxair because I know how to play their game and how much they should be charging and how much they charge for the tank and all that. So it really benefited Circle City Heat Treating when I came on board, because I got the prices lowered and I know how that game's played. But once I hit the go button, it takes 10 hours for it to get from room temperature to 300 degrees below zero. Once it gets there, it sits there for another 10 hours.
Wow.
And then it slowly comes back up to room temperature. It's a very, very slow process. It's a 72-hour process.
Wow.
So once it's close, and you, like I said, you can see the videos on there. Once I open the processor and the outside air hits those parts that have been sitting at 300 below zero, they frost all up. And we've got two big tables. We'll take all the parts and set them on this table with a bunch of holes in it. And there's two big fans underneath it that blows all the moisture off of it so they don't rust. And then we'll put them in one of our 55 ovens and furnaces and temper them at a certain temperature for 2 hours. Then it has to come back to room temperature again. And then it's ready to go back to the customers. The naked eye cannot tell a difference in it.
Really?
The part looks exactly the same.
And what's your like most common product that you guys that work on typically?
Probably brake rotors and tooling for different businesses, drill bits, auger bits, brake rotors.
Right.
A lot of different racing components, from go-karts to boats to NHRA. There's no
really
realm
cool.
of racing that we haven't helped save them money, lower their operating cost. And they keep winning races. The more races they win championships.
Wow. So you've mentioned racing. Are there any partners or organizations or individuals that you've been able to kind of partner with and do work for that have stuck out more than others, or have really been an amazing relationship for you and your team?
Well, I was stunned that Don Schumacher was nice enough to let one of his employees write me a testimonial.
Wow.
I can't say what we do for them, but anybody in the racing knows we're not doing their tires and steering wheel.
Gotcha. That's awesome. That's awesome.
What the cryogenic process does is slow down the wear life of any metal, anything that has friction on it, engine parts that, pistons, any metal with a wear life, it improves it. The only metal I've ran across I can't improve is Inconel, and it's full of nickel and chrome. It's a very odd metal. It's not used often, but it's harder than heck to begin with. So that's the only metal I've ran across we can't improve.
Yeah.
So you'd mentioned that you're actually, I don't think I ever asked, where are you actually from originally?
I'm from Indianapolis.
So you're from Indianapolis. Okay, that's what I thought. And then have you lived in Indy your whole life then, or did you move in and out, or?
Nope, I've lived here my whole life. I'm down in Greenwood now, just barely in Greenwood, Indiana, but our plant's at 70 in Rule. We're 5-6 minutes from downtown Indy. Great access to all the customers. A lot of them ship stuff in. Some of them drive it in themselves, or UPS or FedEx will drop it off.
Awesome. So we ask a lot of our guests this, but what roles for you specifically in this industry and even before that, what role did Indy play in kind of shaping who you are today and the success that you've had both in business and in your life? What has Indy done for you in that sense?
Well, it helps that we're the crossroads of America and the racing capital of the world.
Right. Yeah.
That helps tremendously. We have it's called the PRI show. It's the biggest racing show in the country, and it's held here first week of December every year. And at first I used to have booths there, and with different displays. And I take my laptop and show pictures, videos of things being frozen coming out. But it's got to the point to where I have so many race teams that come in, so many clients that we're doing their whatever kind of part that they're sending us, so it makes their product dominate their market, that I just go out there and walk around and shake hands and talk to people now and see them instead of being stuck in a booth all day long.
Right.
Wow. So that's
Mayor
really
Ballard, when he was the mayor, was really good to us, and he would have us out, have me do STEM shows.
Wow.
Out at the track, and it's been a blessing. But
yeah.
And I would like to say this: that the cryogenic process is not a replacement for heat treating. It's added value to heat treating.
Okay.
So I'll say 90% of the parts we get are already a done product that someone has bought at Napa or at a tool shop or something. And they bring us their product when it's ready to be used. The manufacturer at first didn't like me because I make their stuff last longer, so they think they're going to sell less.
Right.
End users love us because we save them a ton of money.
Sure.
So it sounds like the racing spectacle of Indianapolis has kind of been a major part in the success of your story specifically, but Circle City Cryogenics at large.
Yes, but it also helps that Indiana is also a major manufacturing hub from across the United States. We have a ton of manufacturers here. Probably one of the best ones is in Southern Indiana. They sent, and there's pictures of this on the Facebook page, an $18,000 punch that was breaking at 4,000 punches.
Wow.
And after we cryogenically froze it at 300 degrees below zero, it's wearing out at 40,000 punches.
Wow. That's
saving them $136,000 per punch. So they started sending everything in their plant. And then once I got into a machine shop or any kind of business, fire department, then those guys are either farmers or they race or they have it done for their own personal vehicles.
Wow. That's crazy. That's so cool to hear that. So we've heard about how you got into doing cryogenics. We've heard about the role that Indianapolis has played specifically in cryogenics. Do you have any future goals for Circle City Cryogenics or for yourself personally? What does the future look like for you moving forward?
It looks bright. Just my main goal is that we can help every family. There's really nobody that we can't help save money. It's just convincing them, or once I get them to the website and they read the testimonials and see all the pictures and they're going, wow, how have I never heard of this before?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's really the ticket of it. We have an awesome website that has, like I said, all kinds of testimonials and the Facebook page. And there's a link from the Circle City Cryogenics website to the Facebook page that has a ton of pictures and videos and testimonials.
Do you ever plan to, Brendan, do you ever plan to expand beyond Indianapolis? I mean, if this is something as successful as it definitely seems to be, and if it's something that you believe in, do you have any hopes or dreams of expanding this beyond this, maybe even after you're gone? Do you have like a plan in place, or what would that potentially look like?
There's a gentleman in Florida right now that wants me to give him our recipe, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
Mayor Ballard used to jokingly tell me that he had to know how this was done. And I said, well, you know what, Mr. Mayor, call Kentucky Fried Chicken, ask them what the recipe is, write it down and call me back with their recipe and I'll give you mine.
Right.
Just start laughing, saying that's a great answer. So I use that all the time now.
Okay.
That's funny.
Gotcha.
Is this a super saturated market? Do you have a lot of competitors that are doing cryogenics work?
No, we're the only ones in the state of Indiana doing it.
Wow.
There are like 6 or 7 across the country that do it.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a lot of people don't, they'll want to do it, but they don't realize the expense of the processors.
Yeah.
The big nitrogen tank. We've got a 3,000 gallon nitrogen tank that sits right outside of the building where the 2 processors are.
Wow.
Okay.
The big processor's huge. It's 42 inches by 55 inches by 47 inches. So it'll hold an entire skid.
Wow.
If you know how big brake drums are on a semi or a school bus, it'll hold 16 of those brake drums at one time.
Wow.
With them being hollow, I'll flip over the top 4 or 8 and I can put drill bits, lawnmower blades, pistol barrels inside of those.
Yeah.
The more I get in there, the cheaper I can keep our pricing.
Right. So going through all of this, since you began, were there any, I guess, because you're such in kind of a unique, niche market, were there any unique challenges or stories that really stand out to you that you were just like, okay, I've learned so much from this specific thing? Because not very many people are in this market, right? Like you just said, it's not very saturated. You're kind of doing this on your own. how did you like figure out a lot of things? Like you had a great mentor, but were there times that you just didn't know what to do and you had to kind of figure out on your own, or how did that look like for you?
Just trying different items. Like I
Really?
said, I
Okay.
go to a customer and say, give me a couple of your high wear items, something you go through a lot.
Right.
If I've never done it before, I'll do the first one for free, but they had to share their information with me. And it was incredible how many people would lose it or put it on a school bus and not write down what bus it was on.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I had my challenges. We do a lot of nylon parts for race teams.
Okay.
And I don't know if you guys saw this on the website. I'm very proud of this. Unfortunately, 2 or 3 years ago, my wife had breast cancer, and I'm a guy that thinks out of the box. I've cryoed every light bulb in our house. I've changed one light bulb in 5 years.
What?
So, yep. So when
Light
they hooked
bulbs?
Ian up to her first, yes, it's incredible.
That's
All the
crazy.
different things this works on. Weed eater line. I've got a great relationship with Purdue Polytechnics down in Columbus, Indiana.
Wow.
So when they hooked Ian up to her chemo, do you know what anti-embolism stockings are?
Mm-mm.
They look like pantyhose. There's one, I'd actually have a box here.
Yeah.
One of them looks like a sleeve that goes from your wrist to your shoulder. It's $200.
Okay.
There's a glove without fingers on it. They're to prevent blood clots and swelling.
Yes. Okay. I know
Almost
what
like
you're talking
Ted
about.
hose, but
Yep. Yeah.
they gave Deanne 2 pair of those and said, here, we give you your first 2 pair. After this, you have to buy them. And she turned around and looked at me, and I knew where she was going with it. She said, you know what, man? We're lucky and blessed. My husband has a good job. I have a good job. We've got decent insurance. We'll pay for these. The next time somebody comes in without insurance, give them 4 pair of them.
Wow.
So I followed the nurse down the hall and said, hey, do you have any more of those? And she opened a drawer and showed me the 3 different types. So I bought one of each, cut them in half, marked them A and B. I froze B at 300 degrees below zero. I did not A, and gave it to Purdue Polytechnics down in Columbus, Indiana. And Matt Farrell gave me a report back saying it made them nearly 50% stronger so they won't snag and run.
Wow.
So I got with Tom Dunn, the owner of Circle City Heat Treating Cryogenics, good, honest Christian guy, told him what I wanted to do. So we are freezing those for every cancer patient in the United States for free.
Are you serious?
And I got a phone call from, I'll say a Dr. Comfort. I got a phone call from a company that sells them, that this guy wore me out, called me everything but a white boy on the phone, said he was going to sue me.
Wow.
You can't have our product on your Facebook page. You can't do this. You can't do that. I'm suing you. Take that off of there. And I said, sir, I'll tell you the same thing I told Honda and Cummins and other manufacturers. Once somebody buys something and takes it off the shelf, it's not yours anymore. It's the end user's.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want to it. You have a great day, sir. And I hung up on him.
Wow.
Wow. That is incredible.
We have helped a number of cancer patients in Indiana and abroad. And the Cryogenic Society of America got wind of what I was doing. And they contacted me and did a story on it. Somehow our local ABC affiliate, Channel 6, got wind of it. They came and did a story on us.
Wow.
And a gal in Worcester, Ohio, Kathy Bond, that owns Cryo Plus, she calls me and said, hey, Brian, how are you doing this? And what are you doing? I want to do this for all the cancer patients in Ohio.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's gaining steam where, just trying to give back. I'm very lucky and blessed. My wife is cancer free now.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Back. You can go to rtv6.com and in the toolbar, type in cryogenics and the story pops up.
Wow.
But I'm very lucky and blessed that Deanne's doing good. She's her hair's all grown back. It's curly as can be now. She takes 3 pills a day, like preventative maintenance pills, but the good Lord bless her, she's doing great.
That's awesome.
We're just trying to help as many cancer patients as we can. I now know the stress and the financial burden it can cause a family.
Right.
So I've asked all of our customers and everybody to share that with all their family, friends, neighbors, their friends at church, so we can help as many cancer patients as we can. And we're doing it for free.
That's awesome. How long have you been doing this for cancer patients now?
Close to 2 years.
Wow. That's incredible.
All they have to do is ship them to us, and I tell them to put a prepaid return shipping label inside the package. And then once it's done, we'll put their label on it and ship it back to them.
Wow.
That is the fact that you can do that is just so that's heartwarming. That is actually really, really awesome.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that.
Do you plan on like maybe trying other things, like maybe with the medical field or other, like going into that kind of, I mean, now that you've already kind of started, is that something that, since you're so passionate about it, you maybe want to continue and pursue and see what else you can help in the medical field?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you
Yes.
have like any ideas, or maybe if I'm allowed to ask, like what you're potentially planning on the future?
We've done some for knee replacements. I can't post pictures of it. It's a
Right.
company that has them donated to them, and they give them
Huh.
around the world to countries that can't afford them. And I don't know, it's kind of weird how this works. It's a bunch of rich guys that they'll buy it, then they'll pay to have us cryo it, and they say that makes it 3 times, 4 times more valuable.
Wow.
So then they're donating it, and they can write it off on their taxes.
Hmm.
It's kind of odd how it works, but it's knee and hip
Interesting.
replacements.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This is a whole man, this is this is an entire different. We went from we don't freeze bodies to race cars to wires on your weed whacker to now helping cancer patients and knee replacement. I mean, that is a spectrum of and that is just incredible. That is incredible.
Yeah.
Like I said at the beginning, my challenge is people don't know what this is.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have any fears that maybe, I mean, it sounds like just thinking through this as you're sharing all this information, it sounds like the easy answer for parts producers like Napa, the easy answer for them is to start doing this cryogenic stuff in-house before they ship the products. Do you have any fear that that's going to happen, or is that too expensive for them?
No, they don't want to do it.
Really?
They want to sell more. Their fear is that they won't sell as much.
Yeah.
And I have had a few drill bit manufacturers, gun manufacturer that we do their rifle barrels, their drill bits, and they market it as it's cryoed. But I'll sign a non-compete or a non-disclosure.
Yeah.
So there are a few that are getting smarter that are coming on board, but it's the end user, the guys in construction that goes through any kind of blade, drill bits, bandsaw blades, sawzall blades.
Yeah.
I've yet to meet a blade that we can't improve.
Wow.
As long as it's good quality metal. If it's recycled metal, I got nothing. You can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig.
Right. Yeah.
If it's good quality metal, we can improve the heck out of it and save everybody money and downtime.
Yeah. Wow.
That's incredible. Well, if there's anyone watching or listening that wants to learn more about Circle City Cryogenics and the work that you are doing, what's the best way for them to, 1, learn about you, and 2, get a hold of you to hopefully utilize your services?
You can go to circlecitycryogenics.com, and all the information is on there. My email address, phone number. We have a Facebook page. I'm not Mr. Social Media guy. I try to put it on Instagram and Twitter. Now that Instagram and Facebook is married up, when I do a boost, it goes on to both of them. I actually have a boost going right now it's on my back. It says in big blue letters, "We don't freeze bodies." And I've got a lot of phone calls in the past week or so that I'm trying to think out of the box to do something to get people's attention. Yeah. Because they hear cryogenics. I get phone calls from cryotherapy.
Wow.
Actually, when Channel 6 was interviewing me, I got a phone call right when they started, and Lauren Casey said, "Go ahead and take the call." I answered the phone, Circle City Cryogenics, and the guy goes, "Hey, you froze me last week. How much to freeze my son?"
Oh my!
And her and the cameraman just started laughing. I go, "See, I get these all the time." I said, "Sir, how did you hear about it?" "Well, I Googled cryogenics, or I asked my phone where the closest cryogenics place is." And I said, "You want cryotherapy? We freeze metal." Yeah. Well, now from that phone call, I've done, I think, 8 brake rotors for that guy and a couple rifle barrels. Just once he learned. All it takes is me to get somebody to go to Circle City Cryogenics, or to make it easier, they can go to Circle City Cryo, CRYO, CircleCityCryo.com, and everything's on there that you need to know, videos, and on the bottom right is a link to the Facebook page that you can see all the pictures and videos and testimonials.
That's awesome. Well, Brian, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for sharing your story. We really appreciate you taking the time to come on here and just share with the world the work that you guys are doing over at Circle City Cryogenics.
My pleasure. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. It's been an honor. Well, we will conclude this episode of the Hustle Indie Show. We will thank Brian for being on. We'll thank you guys for watching and or listening, and we will see you in the next episode.